Welcome everybody to the Bases and Brews podcast with Ben and Brandon. This is our weekly podcast where we talk baseball and beer. We stream the show live on twitch.tv/Bases and Brews every Friday, usually 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Come give us a follow, watch us live over there. If you can't catch us live, go check us out on YouTube or listen to us as an audio podcast on most podcast services besides Apple. Just search for the channel Bases and Brews. Also, go give us a follow over on Twitter at Bases Brews to get some baseball news, some updates about us and the podcast, etc. So yeah, how you doing this week?
I'm better than I was last week. I was so salty last week.
I imagine I couldn't watch it on the cruise. Like we couldn't do live streaming. I was trying to watch it, and I was like, yeah, I just imagine the fire was like, I don't even want to do this.
I was so mad last week. When you know what's funny is everyone's like, oh, for anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's the Giants being eliminated on a bullshit call.
It was, but at the same time, like the odds of them actually coming back and winning.
Okay, but you say
small,
that, but like literally like 2 days later in Boston, the same thing happened, and a strike was called a ball that should have ended the inning, and that ended up in a 7-run inning. So
fair. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying the Giants were so cold batting the last couple of games of that series.
I know. I don't think they were gonna win that, but like still,
I understand.
It's such a tough way to go out.
Your season ending on that check swing call it's rough.
Yeah, that was my only thing.
Bad taste in your mouth
because there's two ways of looking at the situation. He was like 0 for 17 against Scherzer or something like that.
Yeah.
Which means either one of two things. He had not a prayer in the world of getting a hit, or he was due.
Yeah.
So
it was a 2-run game at that point, or was it only one?
It was a 1-run game at that point.
Was it? Okay.
It was 2-1, if I'm not mistaken, at that point.
That could definitely be right, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sucks because, like, you're right, one swing of the bat and the game's tied if that's the case, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, it was brutal.
It just, like, it's one thing if you end on a strikeout or a flyout or whatever, but, like, ending on a bad call just feels bad.
Yeah, so last week I was real salty, but watching the Dodgers get eliminated this week made this week so much better.
Fair enough.
How was your cruise?
It was a lot of fun.
It looked like a lot of fun. I was seeing a bunch of the pictures.
Yeah. Like, I have never been on a cruise. This was my first cruise, and it was like, man, I would definitely do another one in a heartbeat.
I've never done a cruise.
I think it's honestly really cheap too for what you get.
Okay.
Like, I think we paid $1,500
for both or per person?
For both.
Oh, that's not bad.
And that includes a $500 credit on board. So, like, you get $500 to spend for free, and we paid a little extra for all-you-can-drink package.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, right? Dude, we were trying to think about how much I drank tonight. I'm pretty sure I drank about 50 mojitos. Like, I literally had a mojito in my hand every single moment I could.
I've had mojitos, but it's been so long, but I love mojitos.
Right.
If they're done right, anyway. So, if they're done right.
But yeah, so there was that, and then there was, like, the food's all included. So you can eat as much food as you want whenever you want.
As long as you're on the ship, right? Like, they don't have, like, vouchers for, like, places.
Right, no. But, like, so there's, like, excursions you can do, which is basically, like, when you go to a port and you go off, you, like, book an excursion, which is, like the one we did was we went to Honduras, Roatan, Honduras, and we went zip lining and snorkeling, and we went to, like, a little mini zoo where they let you hold, like, monkeys and sloths and stuff.
It sounds like a blast.
And that, like, included in that was our lunch for the day too.
Okay, that's not bad.
and that wasn't too bad. I think it was like 80 or $100 a person.
Oh, that's not terrible.
Which,
Not for all of that
uh,
stuff.
right, exactly.
I mean, hell, I've gone on
So
vacation in California where doing just zip lining is like $60 for two people.
right. So yeah, but it was a ton of fun. I will post some videos and stuff on our Twitter as well as my own personal one.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it looks fun.
but yeah, it was great. Very relaxing, very fun, and I ate and drank so much that I'm like, I weighed myself when I got back. I gained like 4 pounds in a week. I'm like,
Hey,
totally worth
hey,
it.
that's what you're supposed to do. Though. So, what was it, a 5-day cruise, 7-day cruise?
7 day, 7 days, 3 stops. So we went
Okay,
to Honduras, Belize, and Cozumel, Mexico.
sounds like fun.
And yeah,
Where'd you guys? Did you
it was
guys
great.
leave out of?
We left out of Galveston, Texas.
Okay,
It's
so you
like right
actually.
by Houston.
Okay.
It was like a 3 hour, 4 hour drive for us.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of fun. Very good week.
That's cool. I'm
But
glad you got
I'm
to
dreading
enjoy it.
going back to work tomorrow. That's
Did you not have work today? Last day off?
no, we're closed on Sunday,
Oh, that's right.
and I didn't get back until like 2 in the afternoon yesterday, so I didn't go yesterday, obviously. But yeah, tomorrow's gonna suck. I'm not gonna want to do anything.
Yeah, right. I feel that. So what you
But
got on tap tonight? What's
all
what's the
right,
drink of
so
choice?
because of the cruise, I was just telling Fire before we started, we actually won 2 bottles or a bottle of wine and a bottle of champagne. And we took 2 bottles of wine with us that we didn't drink because we had all you can drink. Why would we drink our own?
I don't even know
So
why you took
I'm
it if you had all you could drink.
I don't know, because they said you can bring 2 bottles of wine or a bottle of wine a person or something. So we were like, okay. And then once we got there, we were like, this was dumb. But yeah, so I am drinking a Rosso Dolce sweet red wine.
Mm.
Going fancy tonight. We're classing up the podcast tonight. But yeah, what about you?
So I think it was a couple months ago. I drank some 21st Amendment Hell or High watermelon. Well, I have its like bastard stepchild. It's a Hell or High
Oh,
mango. It's
nice.
not even remotely as good as the Hell or High
No,
watermelon.
no, that's too bad.
I mean, it's
Because I
not
remember that you were like very surprised how much you liked that one.
it's not bad, but the Hell or High watermelon is just really good.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like mango. I have yet to find like a mango flavored beer that actually was good. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Um,
I haven't found one yet. I don't think.
yeah, I don't drink a lot of fruity beers, so it's hard to. I would. I haven't had a bunch to
It's
say.
but like I said, it's okay. It's not the greatest. It's definitely not bad. Just eh.
Yeah.
Cans are always cool. 21st Amendment does a killer job with their cans.
Um. Yeah, that's fair. That's honestly what I base most of my beer buying on right now. I go to the store and I'm like, that can looks cool. I'll try that one.
I look at like what it is, and if it's I first go by like personal recommendation. Like if someone's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is good," and I see it, I'll be like, "Oh, I heard about that, so I'll try it out."
Right.
If there's nothing that I see that like has been recommended to me, then I go by what it is, whether it's IPA, lager, depending on kind of what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And then after that, when I really just don't care, I just want to drink something, then I go by can. I just go like, what's the coolest fucking can I can find or
Yeah.
bottle?
Yep. That's same.
But that's typically my order of like when I look, the process I go through at least.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at when I try to get beer. But all
But
right.
oh man, so you said you didn't get to watch stuff while you were on the cruise, but did
No.
you look in and check in on him?
On
On any of the games, any of the series as
Oh,
they were going throughout the week?
yeah. So actually, I couldn't watch any like live, like Twitch, but there's actually a sports bar on the ship.
Oh, okay.
So I like would walk past it and like watch for a few minutes and but yeah, so yeah, I kept up to date with what was happening and all the
There's
scores and stuff.
some pretty good games back and forth. There's quite a
It's
few
funny.
blowouts.
Yeah.
There's I think
My
like two blowouts on one on either side or two on either side.
yeah. Most of the games were close. But yeah, my sister texted me who is not really a big baseball fan and she was like, "I can't believe you're on a ship for one of the most exciting postseasons I've ever seen." And I'm
It,
like, "Damn
it
it."
was pretty nuts.
but but yeah, no, I kept up to date with most of what was happening.
Well, it's cool that they had it. Although I bet the timing was a bit funky when the games were on.
Not really, because we mostly just went north and south, so we were in the same time zone as Texas is in.
Oh, I guess.
Um, so it wasn't too bad. Um, but yeah, I mean, I didn't like sit and watch any of the games, but I at least watched the highlights for most of the good games.
I loosely watched most of them because I just I was
Yeah.
so mad. I just didn't care anymore. And then I saw the Red Sox get eliminated, and I cared even less. And then it looked like the Braves might choke away the
I always get
championship series like
worried.
they did last year, and I
Yeah,
cared less. And I'm like, okay, they finally finished it off yesterday.
yeah. I am very glad that it did not go to 7 games because I don't think they would have won if it went to 7.
I don't know. The Dodgers are literally a shell of themselves right now. Everybody is hurt. Like everybody is hurt.
um, Yeah, that's fair. That was okay. So I don't know if you want to do hot and cold or you just want to talk about the series, the
We could
two
just talk
series.
about the
But
series because there's really
okay,
only two players that were
yeah.
hot.
So honestly, I think this game was decided. What was yesterday? Saturday, Sunday night when they announced that Max Scherzer was not going to pitch in Game 6.
I'm surprised they had him set to pitch in Game 6.
I think they kind of had to.
But he had already said he had dead arm. Like he needed.
Well, yeah, I mean that's why
Like
they like knocked him off, but
no, even
they
before that,
needed
after
him.
his last start.
Yeah, I know.
Like I'm like,
But yeah,
I don't know.
you have to. I feel like you have to pencil him in and hope that he recovers enough to give you at least a few innings. Because like Max Scherzer pitched great this series.
Yeah, it just sucks because why couldn't the Dodgers fall apart and everyone get hurt
Right?
just like a couple of games sooner?
Yeah, but yeah, because they lost Trey Turner in Game 3, or not Trey. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
Justin Turner.
Justin Turner.
Trey Turner was terrible in the or the championship series.
Yeah, he wasn't that
Scherzer
good
was
against
still
the Giants either, though. To be
fair,
fair,
fair. Um, the yeah, they really didn't play well. Their pitching was still pretty solid for the most part, but their hitting just fell off. And like I guess I mean credit to the Braves. And I mean the Giants held them for the most part. It was just one or two games that got away from the Giants. But
yeah,
yeah,
because
I
I
don't know. I don't
genuinely think
know.
the Giants beat the Braves. Although the Braves are hot, the Braves were hitting. If they hit like that against the Giants, I don't know if the Giants keep up with how bad they were hitting.
If the Braves stay as hot as they were against the Dodgers, I don't know that the Astros can beat them. But the Astros are hot
Ooh,
as hell
I mean,
right
I
now
don't know
too.
about that. They got a pretty good lineup.
They do. The Braves do too, though. I mean, they got a lot of players over there. When you have Juan Soto coming off your bench, like yeah, you're pretty deep.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Although a lot of the guys that are making big moves for the Braves were trade pieces.
Yep.
Not all of them
Well, they.
acquired at the deadline, but a couple of
I
them
don't.
were.
I don't know if you remember the deadline with the Braves. but they got like 3 new outfielders, and we were
Yeah.
like, "What the hell are they doing?"
Yeah, they got Jock Peterson,
Eddie Rosario.
Rosario, and who else did they get?
Can't remember who else they got.
But and all three, and at least those two guys
Yeah,
have been putting
those
in
two
work
guys
all
had
postseason.
great postseasons.
So hopefully they can keep it up, which is just kind of goes to show. Now imagine what they're gonna do when Acuna comes back.
Right. Well, I don't know. So I think Jock Peterson's on at least a few-year deal because he got signed by the Cubs in the offseason and then
Ooh,
traded.
you're right.
Eddie Rosario, I want to say, is only on a 1-year deal because the Indians picked him up for cheap
Yeah,
in the
but I
offseason.
want to say he's the guy you really want to keep right now.
I mean, yeah, he's having a great postseason. He didn't have a great regular season, but yeah, and you have Juan Soto in the outfield, who's like had an off year, but everyone looked at him as one of the best young players in the league like last year.
Oh man,
So
it's the Braves. They came out of kind of nowhere. I don't feel like
I mean, they were the worst team in the NL in as far as making the playoffs. Like they by far they were like 10 games behind the Brewers record wise at
were
the end
they
of the year. Yeah.
were they
They
farther
only had
back
like
than the Cardinals? Because I think the Cardinals probably had the most incredible run to make the playoffs,
I'll look really quick, but I know the Braves got in at 88 wins.
which is pretty low.
Yeah.
At least this
That's
year with a lot of the teams that got in. We got to think like a third of the teams had over 100 wins this year, or a quarter of the teams.
yeah, Cardinals finished with 90, so the Braves were the worst team in the NL
Oof.
record wise that made the playoffs. But the other crazy thing with that division is like I think about the All-Star game, Braves were like 6 or 8 out. The Mets were or no, the Phillies were winning that division and the Mets were behind them. And I think the Nationals were not terrible. The Nationals and Braves were similar, I want to say. And then the Nationals got rid of everybody and
Everybody.
tanked. They actually finished with a worse record than the Marlins, which I didn't realize. Um,
Well, I mean, they quite literally got rid of everybody, so it's
yeah,
not all that surprising. Their season
no,
kind of took a shit.
but yeah, and then the Mets and Phillies just fell apart. The Braves just kind of were the benefactors of other teams falling apart more than they were, them being really good.
And then they peak, or they are peaking at just the right
Right,
time.
the perfect time. Yeah,
So I don't know. I'm just stoked that the Dodgers are gone. I was really praying hard for the Red Sox to pull it off. But
I honestly didn't really care who came out of the AL. I honestly would have taken any NL team besides the Dodgers over every team in the AL except
see,
Tampa Bay.
even as a Giants fan, I would have rather seen the Dodgers than the Astros.
Yeah, I agree
Like
with that.
if I had to pick between the two
I'm
teams that I
just
didn't want to see left, I would have rather seen the Dodgers make it than the Astros.
like, yeah, I agree. The Dodgers were the team I wanted the least in the NL. In the AL, the only team I wanted to win was the Rays. Everybody else I did not like.
See,
The
I'm okay with the
Yankees,
Red Sox.
the Red Sox are just the Yankees now.
Mm. Yeah, but I
You
don't know.
have
I've liked the
the
Red Sox
Astros.
since like the Johnny Damon day, like
Uh,
long time ago.
but yeah, you had the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Astros, and the White Sox. I'm like, I hate all those teams.
But then
Like
again,
those
I'm
are
my team's a National League team, so I don't have as much outward hate for all the American
yeah,
League teams.
right. Like if you asked me to pick my most hated teams in the AL, it would be those four and like the Tigers. Like legitimately those would be my four least favorite teams in the American League.
That's pretty funny.
But it is you're right. like because I don't really have like a negative thing toward any of the NL teams except the Dodgers because they're also just the Yankees now.
See, it's funny because I don't either with the National League teams. Like I
I
don't.
feel like
The
it's
Dodgers are
hard,
the only team I really don't like National League
yeah,
wise.
but I feel like there aren't any like villains in the National League.
Ooh.
Like there's no team that I really dislike because of the players on their team or the way the organizations run or whatever.
That's true. I mean, the Dodgers is probably the only team that.
Right. But yeah, besides the Dodgers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone hates. Well, no, that's American League. Okay, no.
Who's that?
I was gonna say, well, everyone hates the Angels, but I was just saying that's not
Yeah.
because they're anything but just bad. But that's American League.
I don't hate the Angels. I just think they're dumb. Like I don't I mean, I guess I hate them for wasting one of the greatest baseball talents in baseball
History.
history, but
So, which
but
series did you enjoy checking out more?
Braves Dodgers.
I thought that was a better series overall too.
I thought the Astros Red Sox series, like the Red Sox won one game
No, they won two.
or two. So like
They went up, I think, two
the
one and then
other,
lost out.
I feel like the other games that the Astros won weren't even like competitive for the most part.
No, I think they won
If
like
I'm
11-2
remembering
in one game
correctly,
and like it was
yeah.
like 9-3 in another or something like that.
To be fair, the games the Red Sox won weren't competitive either. Like the Red Sox won one game, like yeah, it was like 12-3 or something.
That's what I mean. There
That
was a
was
lot of
the
blowouts this
game they hit
post.
two
This
grand slams.
well, yeah. I mean that helps. And then the day after they hit another grand slam.
Yeah.
That to me was nuts. I bet that was fun, but I'd rather give up the grand slams and win the series.
Right. Nobody's gonna remember the fact that the Red Sox hit two grand slams in 2 years.
It'll be one
Like
of those. It'll be one of those obscure stats that like
it'll be
someone
yeah,
down the road will tie. 5 years from
right.
now, and they'll be like, "Oh, the Red Sox
Yeah.
hit two grand slams in one game."
Yeah. It'll be like yeah, like sports trivia. Something like that.
Hell, that's how
Um
I find out about most of the weird ass random stats. Is someone will tie it, and or
oh
they'll be
yeah.
close to it, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, this happened like 3 years ago," and you're like, "What the fuck?"
Why are you even keeping track of this with all these like I was like the um what's his name? Wilmer Flores? No. Wilmer
Flores plays.
Walder Franco.
Mm.
The guy for the Tampa Bay Rays, the rookie who
Oh yeah, Wander Franco.
Wander Franco. Um who yeah, it was like the longest on base streak by a player under 20 years old or something.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like cool. The dude, I mean, still an impressive stat, but like yeah, when you have to put a bunch of qualifying things on it, it's like, it's
Well,
not as impressive.
like just imagine though being like Chris Taylor for the Dodgers, right? Who had an
Yeah,
incredible series.
he had a really
He,
good whole
yeah,
postseason.
he hit 3 home runs in an elimination game to keep his team in it. It's the first time in history, in MLB
Yeah,
history, that's been done. And 5 years from now, no one's gonna remember that ever happened because the Dodgers lost.
yep.
Well, I mean, they won that game, but like they lost that series and they didn't make the play.
I mean,
Like if they
perfect
had
example.
gone on, that would have been
Yeah,
legendary.
yep. Perfect example of exactly what you just said being legendary is Mike Freeze for the St. Louis Cardinals. When when the Cardinals won the World Series, or I don't know, it was when Pujols was still there, but Mike Freeze hit like three walk-off home runs in the playoffs, and like nobody knows who Mike Freeze is outside of that playoffs, but everybody knows his name now. It's like,
Well, Pablo Sandoval has a 3 home run game in the World. I think it was the World Series. I think it was Game 1 of the World Series, like in 2010 or something like that, or 2012.
yeah,
And the only reason people remember it is because they won that World Series.
yeah.
Like if they not like
Yeah.
nobody.
Like it's cool to do stuff like that, but like if your team doesn't win, it's not really important. You didn't do enough. And in the regular season, you can do stuff like that, and like awesome people talk about it. In the playoffs, it's like if you lose, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it gets dropped and nobody cares.
Yeah.
But it just sucks because like you feel bad for him because like 3 home runs and with your back against the wall elimination game, that's incredible. Honestly, a 3 home
Yeah.
run game in the playoffs is just incredible. But to do it in under
Honestly,
that circumstance specifically, even crazier.
honestly, too, like I've never even heard of Chris Taylor. Like I don't watch the Dodgers like ever, but
I think
like,
this
I had
is
never even heard of
only
him.
his like second year with the Dodgers.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember where he played. He's not young. I think he's like 31.
Okay. Just
Um,
like kind of a journeyman or something
uh,
bounced around.
I'll look up real quick because I know he's played for a couple teams. Started with Seattle, played with Seattle for 2 years. Then TOT. I don't know what that means.
So it means TOT means he got traded in the middle of the year, and that's his total stats for the season.
Oh, okay.
So he played for two different teams the same year, and the TOT is his total.
Except for it doesn't show who he got traded to. Oh, Seattle and LA. So he's been in LA since 2016.
Okay.
So he's been there for a few years. I thought he'd only been there for like 2. So he's been there for like
Maybe he was a
5.
backup catcher for a little bit.
I mean, he played 140, 155.
Oh, guess not.
Yeah, no, he's. But when you look at his like batting average, he's like 280, 254, 260, 270.
I mean, honestly, in today's baseball, that's not terrible for a catcher.
Except for he's not a catcher.
I thought he was their catcher.
No.
Wait, where did he play?
He's a utility guy. He's like kind of like a Chris Bryant. He plays third,
Did
he
he
plays
play
outfield.
catcher?
I'm sure
I swear he caught at least 2 games in.
He might have. I think they have another guy with a very similar name that is their catcher.
Okay.
I think it's. I'll look it up real quick.
There.
Because it's not him. He's like a utility guy, kind of like Chris Bryant. He plays all over the place. I think
Will
it's like
Smith is there.
Yeah, I was gonna say Will was sounding familiar.
All right. Yeah, it has Chris Taylor listed as a second baseman.
Yeah, he's a utility guy. Like I think in their elimination game, the one they lost yesterday, he was I think at third.
Oh. No, okay. It has Chris Taylor listed as their backup second baseman, but their first string third baseman. Especially that must be after Justin Turner went down.
Maybe
he's their third baseman, right?
Yes. Yeah, Turner is their I think normal everyday third baseman.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so he's been there for a few years. Doesn't look like he's done anything spectacular. Like when you look at at least his offensive totals, he's only hit over 20 home runs once. 21 in 2017. He hit 20 this year. So he had like a third of as many home runs in the postseason as he hit all year.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a ridiculously good postseason for sure.
So I think that's why, like, he's just a typical everyday player. Right. You know, 270s, 250 to 270 hitter. Couple years where he hit really well. I think his first year in LA, he hit 288, which is pretty good. Like, but other than that, just nothing like out of this world. But he had an insane playoffs.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of that, I wanted to talk about the two MVPs for the two series.
Okay.
So, all right. So first with the NL was Eddie Rosario was a no-brainer MVP.
Totally deserved.
Yeah. So
I think he ended with 14 hits, which tied the postseason record for a series.
Yeah, let me pull this up. Crap. I just had it. Where did it go? Okay. Postseason batting. Okay. So this year, or this postseason, or this series specifically, he was 14 for 25. So that's 560 batting average. He had 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, a double, and a triple. And he stole a base. And he walked 3 times in 6 games.
Yeah,
That's such a ridiculous stat line.
That is pretty insane. That's is absolutely nuts.
One of the greatest single series performances ever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hitting 560 for a series in the championship series is insane.
Especially against the pitching staff that the Dodgers have.
We were talking a little bit about this, I think, just before we went live to record. And the Dodgers are kind of, pitching-wise, I think, really beat up. Or they ended up that way against them. I think playing the Giants really fucked the Dodgers.
I agree. I think if nothing else, you guys can take pride in that. You guys wore them down to the point where they just didn't have anything left.
Yeah, it took everything, literally everything they had to beat the Giants, and they just felt like they gassed out.
With that said, I think you said you think the Giants could have beaten the Braves. I think honestly, if you guys would have advanced, it would have been a similar thing. You guys aren't as injured, but
that's the only reason I don't think it. I don't know if they win, but I think it at the very least goes a full 7.
To be fair, going into that series, the only injury that they had was their first baseman, Muncy. Everybody else was healthy. They just
then people started dropping like flies,
and then Justin Turner went down with some.
Joe Kelly went down.
Yeah,
they literally collapsed. When you talk about a collapse, they literally imploded and collapsed.
Yeah.
And mostly health reasons. I think if the Dodgers are healthy, I think they destroy the Braves. I don't even think it's close.
I think it still would have gone 6.
I think that's a 5-game series, gentleman sweep. If the Dodgers are fully healthy.
Yeah, I don't know. It would have gone 5 or 6. I don't think it would have gone 7, and I don't think the Braves win.
But Rosario had an insane season. Insane series.
Which is interesting because if you look at his stats for the year, he had a really bad year. He had 259 with 14 homers and didn't even get 100 total hits for the year. Only 60 RBIs. Not a great year.
Oh yeah, that's not a terribly good year. But showing up. When
I mean, that's why they got him, right? That was the point.
And this is kind of one of those things. Maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit. I'll bring it back up. Is just what's more important to you? Do you want stats during the regular season, or do you want guys to show up when it matters?
Right. I mean,
we'll dive into that maybe a little bit
in a second.
In a little bit.
We'll
talk about the other MVP first.
Yeah. So switching to the AL was from Houston, Yordan Alvarez, who also had a very good series.
Yep.
He batted. He went 12 for 23, so 522 batting average. Home run, triple, 3 doubles, 6 RBIs in 6 games. So definitely not quite what Rosario did. Similar batting average, but Rosario had a little more clutch power.
I mean, you say that, but you also got to look at the age of the two players. Rosario's in his 8th year, 7th year. He's close to 29, I think 28.
Is Alvarez not?
Yordan Alvarez is 24.
I don't know why Maybe I'm thinking of a different Alvarez. I could have sworn he's been around for a little bit.
He's
But
literally, this is his third year in the league.
yeah, okay, that's fair.
So like what he's doing, whereas maybe the numbers aren't quite as
Oh,
great. Like,
hold on. When I said it wasn't as good as Rosario, that was taking nothing away from the guy batting 522 in the postseason series.
I'm just saying,
I
when
was
you
just
look at
saying
it,
he
it's
was a
still
touch.
crazy.
His batting average was a touch less, and he had a couple less RBIs. Like, it's still a ridiculous series. And yeah, so a stat that Jen told me actually was that he had 7 hits in the last 2 games of that series, and the Red Sox had a total of 5 hits in the last 2 games. So he out hit the entire Red Sox over the last 2 games.
Damn.
First off, that sucks for the Red Sox. You got to be better than that
Yeah.
in elimination games. Like 5 hits in 2 games, that's not good enough.
I mean, Houston's got some
But
decent pitching, so.
oh yeah, but yeah. Then on the flip side of that, 7 hits in 2 games for Alvarez is great.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah,
can't
that's
do much better than that.
you literally can't get any better than that, really.
Yeah.
I mean, he's hitting half. He's getting on base and hitting half the time he's up. You can't ask
Right.
someone to do any better than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is funny. Baseball, the only sport where you're literally considered the best in the world if you fail 7 out of 10 times.
Right. Yeah, you're literally one of the best hitters in the entire league if you fail 70% of the time.
One of the
Yeah.
things that's always made me laugh. But yeah, he had a crazy series too.
Yeah. Just those two guys in general just like really stand out. Like from teams that had good series, those two guys really stand out above everybody else.
The question
Um,
is, of those two guys, do you think either one of them goes off in the World Series? Or do you think they revert back?
I don't. That's a tough one because like everybody has bad series. I feel like it's not uncommon to have a bad series. So like you could go off in one and just struggle against the next team. Like it could just be a matchup thing. It could just be a quick little slump. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Alvarez does, just because Rosario is like a streakier player. I mean, I watched him for years in Minnesota. He was on the Indians this season for half the year. Like he's always been a streaky player.
But that being said, does the streak keep going? Is he still in the
I mean, that's the
streaker?
thing.
I'd
And it's
almost.
also it's tough too because like when you're hot, you just want to play, and then they have like what 3-4 days off.
That's true.
It's tough to keep that momentum going and
Yeah.
you have some days off.
World Series starts on Tuesday. So still
Yep,
2 more
Tuesday
days.
evening. I forget what time. 7 Eastern.
Yeah, I didn't see exactly what time the game times were.
I think it's 7 or 8 o'clock Eastern time.
I would figure it would have to be 8 because if you start at 7, that means World Series games are starting at 4 o'clock on the West Coast. Most people aren't even off of work by then. For the World Series, that would be bad timing. Whereas if you do it at 8, that's 5.
What time's the Super? I mean, I know it's a Sunday, but what time's the Super Bowl start? Like 8?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know.
7 or 8?
I always watch it,
I mean,
but I don't ever really care. I mean, the Niners have been in the Super Bowl once in the last, 2 decades, so.
yeah.
I'm not usually watching the Super Bowl to actually watch. We're just watching to see who wins.
You're talking to a Browns fan here?
Ooh. We'll get into that a little later,
How
how you feel about your boy being hurt.
Yeah. It's an interesting. Yeah, maybe we'll do a post show. We'll do some football talk in the post show.
But no, I think it's gonna be good. I lean more towards Rosario. I think if one of the two is gonna continue, I think he will.
I mean, there's something to be said for experience. And
Mine's more just age.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. Like age and experience. He's been in the playoffs a bunch. He's been around the league for a long time. Um, but yeah, I, I don't know. Rosario or Alvarez had a better season, but
Oh man, he's looking really good for the. I hate to say it, but the Astros have got a lot of young guys that are looking really good. The Astros are probably going to be good for a while.
see, I don't mind that. I don't hate. Okay, I don't hate the young Astros. I just can't wait for Altuve and Correa to get the fuck out. And Bregman, like that
So
core, like
I really don't like Altuve and Bregman.
yeah,
I don't know. There's just like a
they're
condescending,
just
like
such cocky
aura about them.
assholes.
I don't know.
You can say arrogant. I'm just gonna say they're cocky assholes. I hate them.
It's just
Correa is honestly the worst out of the three.
really. I don't know. Maybe I just don't pay enough attention to him, but it's really just like Bregman
Bregman
and
was all right. Bregman was the biggest dick when the cheating scandal happened because he was just so unapologetic about it. He was like, "Yeah, well, we won."
okay. So here's a very simple explanation on how you hate a whole team, because it is a team game, and the success of a few is also the success of the whole team. So if the team is doing well, that means they're doing well. And I don't want them to do well. I want the team to do okay.
Once those players are gone, I won't hate the Astros. They already switched managers. They switched GMs. A lot of the players are gone.
I it
Like I
sucks
still
too,
hate.
because I love Dusty Baker and I'd love to see him get a championship.
I still hate what's his name. Went to the Blue Jays. Their center fielder.
Springer? No.
Yeah,
Was
yeah,
it?
George Springer.
Okay.
Yeah, like, I still hate that guy. I'm not gonna stop hating those players. Those players will forever be blacklisted for me and for most of baseball. Like it doesn't matter where they go.
I guarantee you within another 2 years, is once all those players leave and go
Yeah,
somewhere else, no one's gonna hate them anymore.
yeah.
Well, I guess I
Oh,
can't
the
say no
players or
one.
the team?
Both.
Oh, I disagree.
I guess I can't say nobody, but I think a vast majority of people are gonna just straight up forget.
I don't know about that. This is like Chicago Black Sox.
No, it's not, because then they'd all be banned. But no, they're fucking.
It should be.
Trust me, I think they should. They admitted to cheating.
Right.
The only
That's
reason.
a whole. Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that Pete Rose is permanently banned, it, and they're not, is a joke.
Hashtag justice for Pete Rose. Ban
Exactly.
those motherfuckers. I've always thought that Pete Rose's ban was bullshit, but
I mean, I get it. He broke the rules. I get why he's banned. I don't agree with it because he bet for his own team. It's not like he was betting against him and like throwing games. But I do get like he did break a rule, but
this is
it's
also
still dumb.
why I think Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, all those guys belong in the Hall of Fame. This game's already fucked. Like, you got to tell the whole story if we're going to do this right. I don't like half of those guys, but like, you still got to, like, at this point, it is what it is. You're not going to punish the people that deserve to be punished. Then we should just let it all happen.
Yeah. But yeah, I will root against any team that any of those players are on.
I can't say that for sure, because if there's only one player, like I rooted for the Blue Jays this year, and Springer's on the Blue Jays.
Springer was hurt all year though.
But still, even if he wasn't, I would have still. Like, one person doesn't bother me, because eventually, like, there's always going to be one of those guys on the team for like the next decade. I'm not going to down on other players because of one guy, but like when you get a couple of them together, hell yeah, fuck that team.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Blue Jays are so likable too. Like Vlad and Simeon and all the like their core is really cool.
Yeah.
But
That's the
yeah,
one team
I
I'm the most sad didn't make the playoffs.
I will just hope that the Astros retain all those players until they retire, and I'll just continue to hate the Astros.
I mean, there's a good chance that they
Well,
stay with them for a
Correa
while.
said he's out after this year. He's done. Him and the organization are like screaming at each other, like they hate each other. Correa hates it in Houston right now.
Not as much as Ben Simmons is in
Well,
Philly right now.
yeah, that's a weird situation, man. That's weird. Yeah,
But no, but then that would leave basically the two, one of the two faces essentially that the Astros have had for a long time.
yep. I'm sure there's other players there too that have been there the whole time, but off the top of my head, I can't picture their roster.
Yeah, I can't either. But if
Plus,
you can get rid of those two, I'm cool with
this
it.
whole thing gives me another excuse to hate Justin Verlander more. Even though he had no part in it, I'm like, well, I hate the Astros. I'll just keep hating you. But no, I obviously, if you can't tell, we're both pulling for the Braves.
Yeah, I don't know if the Braves are gonna be able to do it, but
on paper, the Astros are probably the better team.
I would say much better team on paper.
Yeah, but
maybe again, not much better.
The Dodgers, even with their injuries, the Dodgers were still probably on paper a better team. Because the Dodgers are deep.
I would argue that win-loss record-wise, the Braves are probably the worst team that were in the playoffs. Just from a record standpoint. Because nationally, sure. I know obviously the Dodgers, Giants, and the Rays all had over 100 wins.
Yeah, you're right. They were by several games. Like the next close. Well, okay, the Cardinals were 2 games ahead of them.
Okay, but I would borderline not even count the Cardinals because they only made it to the wild card and didn't go past.
Well, then if you don't count them, then Red Sox, Yankees, and White Sox were all. Red Sox and Yankees were 4 games better. White Sox were 5 games better.
Okay. So technically they were the worst team to make it on paper. Yeah. Well, like, even by what they showed.
Yeah, no, not even if you include the Cardinals, they were still the worst team by 2 games.
So it's going to be interesting. Although, how crazy would it? That would have been nuts if it would have been. I mean, it's still nuts with them against the Dodgers, but the Braves against the Giants, it would have been the worst team versus literally the best team to go to the World Series.
If the seeding worked a little differently, and they had to beat the Dodgers, the Giants, and then the Astros to win the World Series, like that's a historic playoff run if you get through all that.
Which is funny because like the Giants roster is not that special, but what they did was incredible this year. To beat a 107 win team, a 106 win team, and then they would have had to have beat the Astros.
Astros had 95.
Yeah, like that's insane. Imagine if the Rays had got there and going through 100 win teams.
That would have been insane.
That would be a nuts run. That would easily be probably the hardest run to a championship ever in baseball.
I have to imagine that no team has ever played 300 win teams.
Not the flashiest, maybe, but like that would have to be the hardest, the most difficult, just win-loss record-wise. Could you imagine that? I mean, an 88-win team just toppled a 106-win team. So, I mean, I don't know. Okay, so predictions.
All right.
Who do you got?
All right, prediction or hope?
Real quick, let me go through my predictions from last week.
Okay.
So last week I predicted that LA was going to win 4-2, and I was wrong. It's actually the other way around. Atlanta ended up winning. And then I predicted Boston would win 4-2, and that was the other way around. I, th- I think I was being hopeful in the Boston-Houston series.
Yeah.
So I was wrong on both accounts. Maybe I just need to pick the Astros to win, and then they'll lose, because I'm just wrong.
There you go. To be fair, if you look at our picks from the first round of the playoffs, we were wrong on pretty much everything.
Yeah, this has not been a good playoffs for
honestly, except the Astros winning. We both picked them. We both picked the Giants. You actually had the Red Sox, so you had that one right. I had the Rays.
Oh yeah.
And then we both picked the Brewers over the Braves.
Shit. A lot of crazy things happen in this one.
Yeah.
But okay, so right. World Series predictions. What do you got?
I think it goes. Oof. I think this is a harder fought series than like it would look like on paper, because the Braves are really hot right now. I think it goes 7, and I guess I'm gonna say I predict the Astros will win. I don't want them to, but that's my prediction, not my team I'm rooting for.
I'm not even going to give them benefit of the doubt for prediction. I don't care. I'll be wrong and I'll be okay with it.
Okay.
I'm going Braves, but I'm going 6. I think they're gonna.
Okay.
I think they're gonna steal at least one in Texas before they go back.
In my mind, I'm thinking if it's 6, I think the Astros win. If it's 7, I think the Braves could win.
Ooh.
I do think this is going to be a better series than, like, I feel, I haven't looked, but I'm assuming most people are picking Astros in like 5 or 6.
I would bet they're like the Vegas favorite.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up real quick. Oh yeah. Not by a ton though.
No.
The Astros are -105 and the Braves are +170. That's not. It's actually not that bad.
Yeah, that's fairly close.
That would put them. I don't know what that corresponds to, like, game wise. I would bet that probably puts it at like a 6 or 7 game series with the Astros winning out.
Yeah.
That would be my bet, my guess.
But yeah, again, on paper, the Astros are the better team, but the Braves might be the hotter team right now.
I think the Braves are definitely the hotter team, and they just took out the second best team in baseball. They're going to come in with a lot of confidence.
Yeah. Whereas the Astros took out the wild card team, which, okay, I guess to be fair, the Dodgers are also the wild card team, but it's not really the same.
I was going to say that's a little different, though. I mean, like a 95 win wild card team's a little different 92? Than 106.
Yeah, they didn't even have 95. It was 92.
Oh.
Versus, yeah. It was literally...
It's a 15-game difference.
15 games, yeah.
But yeah, no. I'm going to predict that the Braves win. It wouldn't surprise me if they don't, but I'm going to predict that they take it in 6.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a fun one.
I'm
hoping they're just not blowouts. Unless it's the Braves blowing out the Astros. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not watching like exciting games as long as the Astros are losing.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope it's a good World Series regardless. I mean, obviously I want the Braves to win, but whatever. I just hope it's not a crappy World Series.
Well,
I
it's
feel like
just
we've had a couple that were not very good the last couple of years.
well, I mean, the Dodgers won last year, so that's definitely not a good one.
But they won in like five, didn't they? Like it
I, I
wasn't that good
I
of a
honestly
series.
don't even remember. I didn't even watch it. It's a fucking Mickey Mouse season. A World Series after 60
True.
games. Get the fuck out
I
of here.
forgot about that, to be honest with you.
And it wouldn't have mattered if the Giants were in it too. I would have thought the same way. Like it's fucking stupid. If you want to have a season, that's cool, but like having a postseason and playoffs and a World Series, like
Well, the
that's
way they did it too, with like the expanded playoffs and all that, and like
yeah, it was dumb as
if
fuck.
you're gonna expand the playoffs and make it like 2 weeks longer, why not just have the season be 2 weeks longer
Yeah,
and like play 80 games, at least get half the season in?
yeah. To me, that was dumb. I wouldn't have cared. I wouldn't have counted it if the Giants had won it either.
Yeah.
But I I'm just glad that the Dodgers lost because at least there's a team I can root for. I was telling you before we started, if the Dodgers had won, I wouldn't have even watched the World Series. I don't even care. I ain't giving that viewership. I'll check the highlights. I'll check the box scores every night. I'll watch MLB tonight to update me.
Yeah.
I ain't watching the Dodgers and Astros. It's bad enough we got to watch the Astros. Dodgers Astros. It'd be terrible.
I I messaged Fire yesterday and was like, "What would you have done if it was Dodgers Astros?" He's like, "I don't even
Like, I wouldn't have
know."
even watched. It's not even. I wouldn't have even wasted my time. I mean, outside of those two like fan bases, no one in the entire nation would have given a fuck.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like that's like the like yeah, it's bigger teams, but like outside of those markets, no one would have fucking wanted to watch that. No one wants to
Yeah,
watch the Dodgers and Astros besides Dodgers and Astros fans.
yeah. To be fair, I'm not sure like what the ratings look like for World Series outside of the markets that they're in anyway.
I think
Like
they're
I
pretty
feel like the
good
world
most of
are
the
they? I
time.
don't know why. I just feel like people don't really watch the World Series unless their team's in it.
I
Unless you're like a diehard fan.
I was gonna say I usually will at least at the very least casually watch.
Yeah. I'll have it
Because
on in the background or
I
something.
usually will have a team that I'm rooting for at
Yeah.
that point because I am a Giants fan and whereas they're not as bad as say like Cleveland has been over the years. Like we had a long stretch where we were borderline irrelevant,
Yeah.
and it comes and goes, and you just learn when your team's out of it. You just start rooting for other teams. You
Right.
find the fun storylines and you just follow those. That's
Yeah.
that's typically what
That's
I'll
fair.
do.
I'll do that, or I'll do like teams that are similar to the Indians, like smaller market underdog teams. I'll be
Yeah,
like, yeah.
I don't care about
That's
that.
why I've always liked the Rays when they've been good the last like 5-10 years.
Yeah,
Because
I
I'm
don't
like,
care
yeah,
about that. Big
super
market
low
Giants.
salary, like let's go.
Big market Giants don't care. Screw the small market. Figure it out, kid. Just pay more money.
Yeah,
Uh,
but yeah,
anything else you want to throw in with the World Series stuff? I think it's gonna be fun.
yeah. No, I hope it's a good series at least.
So game 3 will be Friday. So we'll by the time we do our next podcast, there'll be 2 games that have happened.
Yeah, and one will probably be live
Yeah, it'll be live
while
when we
we're
play.
going.
They usually I think go on at like 5 o'clock ish. And if that's the
Yeah,
case, it'll probably be halfway through or so when we go live on Friday. So here's to hoping that the Braves can pull off a couple wins in the next few days.
honestly, if they split the first two in Houston, that's a good start for the Braves.
The only game I'm okay with them losing is maybe the first game. I think they need to lose or need to win game 2 to go back into their house with some momentum to keep it going.
That's fair, but I feel like if you like they talk about it all the time on broadcasts, but like if you win one of the first games at the other team's stadium, then you technically take away their home field advantage.
Well, I know that's what I mean. Like, I don't care if they
Yeah.
lose game one, but I want them to at the very least win game two,
Okay.
so that when they go
But,
back home, they're coming home on a win. It's
right.
not like they win game one, but they lost game two and they're coming home on a loss.
True. But I guess what I'm saying is like if they win game one and lose game two, that's still like a big win for them. Like
No,
they're
it
still
is. I just
with
think
the home
momentum
field.
wise, like you want to hold that,
Yeah.
especially
Now,
against a better team.
do you know? I'm gonna look if you don't. Um, the the way the series works is it like
Two
2-2,
no two
1-1-1?
3-2.
I
So
don't like
it's
those.
two in
Houston.
Houston, three in Atlanta, two back in Houston.
I don't like that. I wish they'd go to the NBA format.
What?
2-2-1-1-1.
The NBA doesn't do that anymore. I don't
No,
think.
I thought they did.
No, I'm pretty sure they switched off that a couple years ago, and they're on the same model.
I don't like that because then it's such a big gap where you're at the losing team's home stadium,
Mm,
the away team, I guess. Or,
I don't. I like it actually that way. Personally, I think you get more games in less amount of time. You don't have to wait as
yeah,
long because there's not as many travel days. Because every time you
right,
go from one place to another, you have one day
right,
in between as a travel day. It's kind of like a gold standard, I guess you would say, of how professional
yeah,
sports works.
right. No, I get that. I understand that from a timing and a travel perspective, but I don't know. I always just liked 2-2-1-1-1 better as a competitive thing.
I don't know. I do kind of see what you're saying because if you win one of the first two um and you're the away team, you're not the home team, then
Right.
when you literally have a chance to win it at home before it ever gets back to the team that's
Right.
supposed to have home field advantage.
Right. Exactly.
But then
That's why,
again,
like,
they would argue if you've got home field advantage, don't lose.
yeah. I mean, it's not that easy,
Come on, forehead,
especially
just
in the
don't
World
lose.
Series. Right. But yeah, no, I get it. Like from a logistics standpoint, like every extra day is a day off, or every travel day is a day off, and you're adding time to the series. But
I
you also then, from a um, like baseball, like MLB standpoint, you're looking at it going, well, if there's an extra day off, you're going to see top pitchers pitching more. You're going to have, the players rested every game. I don't know.
That's 2 weeks though for one series, going the 2-2-1-1-1.
The, yeah. Yeah,
It,
like 12 days.
yeah, that's a lot of time for one
It
series,
is. It is.
and I think that's a
I
big reason on why they cut it
yes,
down.
I get it. I get why they do it. I just, from a competitive
I,
standpoint, I would like it to be the other way,
I
but
don't know if it adds that much competitively though, because you don't hear people bitch about it,
I
and
think my biggest thing is what you said is that if you win one of the first two and you're the away team, then the team that's supposed to have the advantage of home field, you don't even see your home field if you can't win on the road.
yeah,
It's like, I don't know.
I get kind of both sides of it because in the way you're talking, going the 2-2-1-1-1, you would at least get that game five at home if you have home field. If you happen to lose both on the road and
Yeah.
one at home, you still at least get one more game at home to try and do something.
Yeah. Because even if you win both your home games to start and then lose the three on the road when the other team has home field, then you're coming home down 3-2 and you got to win out.
How would you feel about 3-3-1? just basically splitting it directly in half, and then if it does go to game 7, you get it at home.
I wouldn't be against it, but 3 games to start is tough because if you lose those, you're down 3-0 before you ever get a home game. Like
Yeah, I
you
guess
got
that's true.
nothing going back to home. Like
That's true.
if you go back to your home field down 2-0, it's like, all right, we still got a shot. We're getting back in front of our fans. If you go home 3-0, it's like this is already over.
No,
Like
that's a good point. It's
I don't yeah. I don't necessarily hate it, but like I would probably be against that for
I
that
almost
reason.
I would actually, now that I think about it, that's almost more towards the spectrum of being uncompetitive, because like you said, if you sweep it at home, like
Yeah.
that means they've got to muster up some kind of confidence to go into game 4 and not lose in
Right.
their one game that they get at home.
I mean, also I think the 2-2 or 2-3-2 is probably better for ticket sales for the league too, because then you're guaranteed at least 2 games in each stadium.
That's true. Honestly, that's
Um,
probably why they do it that way too.
yeah, in the end, like I just thought about that, and I'm like, yeah, in the end, it always comes down to money. Like, let's be real.
But yeah, no, I dig it. I think this is gonna be. I think it's gonna be a good World Series. At least I hope it is. I hope the Braves fight, and I hope they come on top. But I don't know. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
I just really don't want to see the Astros win again, especially because people have been accusing them of cheating again this year.
yeah.
I don't know how much
I
validity is
okay.
to it, but I don't know.
I'm gonna give, believe it or not, here I'm gonna give the Astros the benefit of the doubt that they aren't cheating, only because of the fact that if they're cheating again, they're the dumbest fucking people in the history of the world.
I
Like
mean, I don't put
everybody's
it past
watching you. If you're
anybody.
doing something to cheat, wow, how dumb are you?
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past anybody. If they think they figured
Yes.
out another way to do it where they're not going to get caught, I
Well, and we've talked about it before. If that's like watching the third base coach and stealing signs or like looking in at the signs and the catcher, fine. I don't really care. It was the technology aspect that always like pushed it over the edge.
when I haven't been watching a lot of the Astros games, I'm not hearing any banging trash cans. So,
I'm pretty sure if you heard banging trash cans, it would be a national headline.
God, could
People
you
would
imagine
be
if they were that dumb
breaking that shit
again?
down, right?
The same, like all of a sudden we're hearing banging. Gee, I wonder what that is. Never heard that before.
Yeah,
Uh,
but yeah, no, I would give them the benefit of the doubt just because I, I'm usually very pessimistic when it comes to trusting people, but like even they can't be that stupid.
I mean, I don't know.
Like everybody who watches baseball is watching the Astros for any possible thing that could be cheating.
Well, and especially once the allegation gets thrown out, like, hey, they
Yeah.
could be cheating again. Of
Yeah.
course,
People
everyone's
are gonna
even.
go back and break down every game they've played so
Yeah,
far, and I don't know. I think it was a bitter thing. The Red Sox lost like 2 games in a row, and then the dude threw it out, and I'm like, you're just being a sore loser. I feel like.
yeah. I don't know. I don't. Do I think they're cheating? I don't know. Do I? Well, only time will tell if they truly are. I like you. I do find it hard to believe. Like you got to know that everybody's watching you, especially with people pulling more allegations and throwing shit at you again.
Yeah.
Like I I don't have a hard time believing anybody's that dumb, but at the same time, I got to think there's at the very least somebody in the organization that's like, guys, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like, even if they wanted to do it
And
again,
you
like, they're just like, bro, like, you do realize where we're at right now, what the situation we're in. Like, figure it out without cheating.
you would hope, especially from your end, that it would be Dusty Baker saying that.
I would hope
But
so. Because I love Dusty Baker. Dusty Baker is
I
cool.
feel like Dusty Baker, like everybody in baseball kind of likes Dusty Baker.
Which is why it's tough, because like I want him to get a championship. Because
He
if I'm not
got
mistaken,
championships with the uh, Giants. He's
no,
good.
he didn't.
He didn't?
The Giants'
I thought he
first
did.
World Series championship in San Francisco was in 2010 with Bruce Bochy as the manager.
I don't know why I thought he
He
got one
he
there.
only went, if I'm not mistaken, to one World Series with the Giants, and that was in 2002.
Okay. I don't know why I thought
And
he went to one.
and they choked
Or
it
won one, I mean.
completely against the Angels. Ironically, we always talk about how shitty the Angels are.
Well, that was a long time ago.
But that right there, like that's the only World Series to my recollection. I could be wrong, but that's the only one I can remember them going to when he was the manager for the Giants.
Okay.
And I think he's gone to a couple outside of the Giants, but he's never won one.
Wasn't he the manager? He was the manager of the Cardinals for a while, right?
Nationals, I think it was. Oh shit! I'll pull
Managerial career. I have it up. Giants, Cubs, Reds, Nationals, Astros. Okay. So no. Man, I feel like he did not manage the Cubs for very long.
No, he didn't. I think it was only like a year and a half.
Oh, it was some scandal. He got like kicked out.
Of course, because that happens to everybody these days.
Yeah, I'm trying to read what it was, but holy crap, this was that long ago?
Dusty's been in the league for a long time.
With the Cubs. Wait, when did the Expos leave Montreal?
Late 90s?
Apparently, it was more recent than that because it says in 2004.
I was going to say late 90s or early
Or
2000s, but I wouldn't have guessed 2004. I would have guessed like at oldest 2002.
August 30th, 2004, he won his 1,000th game as a manager over the Montreal Expos.
Dang. He's a pretty good player.
Dusty Baker.
Yeah. 278 average, 242 home runs, WAR of 37, almost 2,000 hits. Actually,
he wasn't the manager of the Astros when they won the or the Nationals when they won the World Series, was he?
No. Trying to remember who that was. Fuck. Oh man. Fuck, I can't remember. Fucking Dusty Baker has won manager of the year 3 times. Jeez. Dude, he played for almost 20 years. Jesus Christ.
Dave Martinez. Wait, when did they win the World Series? 2019? 2018?
I think it was 18.
Okay. Either way, it was Dave Martinez. No. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know.
It's crazy.
I'm not against Dusty Baker winning one, just not in Houston, or at least not until Altuve and
see, and that's my problem. Like, I want him to win one, but I don't want him to win one with that group.
Also, I don't know how much longer he's gonna have because I'm pretty sure he's fairly old. Yeah, he's 72. Like, I'm not saying he's gonna die, but like, I don't know how long he's gonna be a manager.
Yeah. Probably not much longer. If he wins this year, it wouldn't surprise me if whenever the contract he's currently on is up, if he's like, all right, guys, I've got my I've got my ring now, so peace.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Will he do that? Probably not.
Apparently his contract is up after this year.
Yeah, so if he wins this year, I bet you he sells off to the sunset.
They basically just brought him in to be like a stopgap after they fired AJ Hinch for the sign stealing stuff.
Nah. Could you imagine that though? Coming in as just a filler for 1 year, winning a champ, and then just like, all right, guys, peace.
Well, apparently, so it said he was they brought him in on a 1 year contract last year and then extended it yet an extra year this year. So as of right now, he is only signed through the end of the year, but he did get his 1900th managerial win this year.
That's crazy.
In April, right at the beginning of the season.
That is crazy.
13th on the all-time managerial wins list. That's a lot of wins. There's been a lot of managers in baseball.
Yeah, there's a lot of managers. People that you wouldn't even like realize manage teams, like will be on there and they've managed for like 2 years. Former players, people I never knew fucking managed. I'll look at stuff and I'll be like, wait, when did he fucking manage a team? Like a year and a half somewhere and they've just totally sucked. Like,
yeah.
What the fuck? All right. So we got our predictions. You predict Astros in 7?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Braves in 6. I think they're gonna come out and stun the the Astros early in one of the first 2.
I'm not happy about my prediction, but
I'm okay with being wrong. I'm gonna state it right now. I'm okay with being wrong on this one. I'm not gonna
wait. You picked the Braves. You better not be wrong.
I'm okay if I end up wrong. I'm not gonna pick the Astros.
Yeah.
I refuse to do it. Although all of my picks I feel like lately have been wrong, so maybe I pick the Astros in hopes that they lose. But I'm gonna send us out here. Thank you everybody for tuning in, listening to another episode of Bases and Brews podcast. We record this live every Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/Bases and Brews. All of our episodes go up onto YouTube as well as any other podcast service you could possibly think of. Just search up Bases and Brews and you should be able to find us without a problem. If you want to go check out some of our older episodes, some of them are going to be pretty funny here in the next couple weeks when we look back at our first couple episodes and our predictions. So if you want to go check those out before the end of the season and laugh at us, because we're going to be doing that a lot in the next couple weeks, go ahead and check us out on YouTube and the other podcast services. But on that note, have a great week, and we will catch you all next week with so far what's going on with the World Series. Have a great week.